It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in on this Tuesday, live at Social Taco and in the studio today. Conrad and Landrum on location. They'll be there until 2 o'clock. Gentlemen, hope your Tuesday is going well. I hope the chips and salsa are on the table, ready to go.
I went and got some new eye drops from the eye doctor, and I tried them out this morning, and I told Conrad everything kind of went dark for 5 minutes, so I don't know if that's part of the new drug or if maybe it's having an adverse effect with my eyes, but I could not see Conrad when I walked in this morning.
I hear Don Don's there.
I could hear Don Don, and that's the way that I made my way to the Taco Terrace.
I'm not as concerned about the fact you couldn't see me as the fact that you were on the road prior to that.
It was a little touch and go.
I'm glad you made it yourself.
It really was. I put my hazards on, and I went really, really slow.
I was unaware that you're having eye problems.
Well, I was too until I tried these new eye drops. But everything's starting to come into focus again, and I can now make out images.
That's good.
Yes.
That's always a good thing.
Oh, my goodness. Welcome into Three-Man Front on this Taco Tuesday. As you can tell, a good time is going to be had. As always, there at Social Taco there in Homewood. The doors officially open at 11, but if you're a VIP, you can get in there and get upstairs to the Taco Terrace. So go by and see Conrad and Landrum. Guys, just your initial impressions on the Alex Golish press conference. Almost 24 hours old. We're able to kind of digest what we heard yesterday. I was impressed by Alex Golish and his message to the Auburn family.
I was too. Alex Golish, I think he's all about business. Not that he doesn't love his family and that he can't have a good laugh, but it was kind of a no-nonsense approach and not a lot of that feel-good and fluff that we've gotten from previous Auburn head coaches and when they've been introduced. And to be honest, a lot of head coaches in their introductory press conferences, I think he's very goal-oriented. He's very day-by-day process-driven, which we know who has become synonymous with that. So, yeah, I was impressed. I give him high marks for the opening comments and what he did yesterday there in Auburn.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I liked how he kind of started out and was, hey, I know you've heard different stories about me and obviously his upbringing in Russia and his family coming over here and stuff, but he kind of went, hey, I don't like talking about myself. We're going to do it one time. I'll introduce you, tell you a little bit of a backstory of why I'm here and why they hired me, and then we're going to talk about the future of the program. And, again, I think if you're an Auburn fan, it's refreshing to hear somebody that, like Landrum said, maybe doesn't have a lot of hobbies, a lot of interests, but in a football coach, that's kind of what I want. I want a guy that lives, breathes, eats, sleeps football, and that seems to be Alex Golesh. So, yeah, I thought he handled it really, really well. I thought he handled some of the questions very well, being asked, does he play golf and things like that. Some reporters trying to have some fun with him. I thought he navigated that very well. So, yeah, I agree with Landrum. High marks for Golesh yesterday. Good first impression.
So a lot of people are wondering about his staff. He had a lot of comments like Cody Burns. Cody Burns was there yesterday. He was on the Auburn Network prior to the actual press conference doing interviews, talking about his excitement level coming back to the Plains. But the big question is DJ Durkin. What's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball? Well, this was the question. This was the answer Alex Golish gave yesterday in regards to the defensive staff.
You're in the process of building your staff. You're adding people, adding Cody Burns. What is your plan on the defensive side of the ball? Will you keep DJ Durkin as the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, so we've been here for 24 hours, Rosie, and obviously had a plan going in that we presented, and we're slowly but surely executing the plan. You mentioned Cody Burns, and Cody got the phone call at 2 in the morning, and man, you talk about excited. All Cody's talked about since the day that he joined our staff, would have been, I guess, 6 years ago, is how incredible this place is and what Auburn University has meant to his life.
Nice little pivot. In the political world, that is a pivot, especially during a debate, Landrum.
Yeah. As far as DJ Durkin goes, if you're asking me what my gut tells me right now, I think that he goes. I don't know what DJ Durkin – I don't know what those conversations look like. There's rumors, all kinds of rumors that are out there. Was he led to believe – into the wee hours of the morning or even after the Iron Bowl or prior to the Iron Bowl that he was going to be the head coach without being told officially but kind of unofficially and kind of a wink? Who knows? If that was the case, then I find it hard to believe that he's still around. But if he is still around and if the reports are true, he would be the highest paid probably coordinator or assistant coach in all of college football. So he's got some things to weigh out. But I could see the emotion, being emotionally torn and being hurt by being chosen or not being chosen and somebody else being chosen instead of you.
Absolutely, and look, we may never know the true story. It may only be something that, John Cohen and DJ Durkin know, but it's, how was that message, given to DJ Durkin, right? I think that explains a lot of it, or would help explain a lot of it. But, yeah, look, if you're an Auburn fan and you could have the best of both worlds with Golesh running the offense that's been incredible and DJ Durkin doing his job to retain the talent on the defensive side of the ball and staying put, you'd be happy with that. But we also spent a lot of time talking yesterday, and at a certain point, if you are going in a different direction, which Auburn is with Alex Golesh, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world if you do just have a clean slate. Not saying anything against DJ Durkin. He's obviously done a great job at Auburn the last couple of years, but maybe it's just time for a fresh start all around on the coaching staff there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Speaking
of fresh starts, the UAB Blazer football program, they are looking for their next head coach. An impressive win over the weekend, Landrum and Tulsa. You were there on the scene. UAB was without 42 players. That's right, 42 players was not able to play in that game for one reason or another, whether it was opt-out, injuries, all the above, whatever the case may be. But UAB wins a big game on the road. CBS 42 Scott Griffin reported late last night that UAB was getting closer to potentially naming their next head coach. There's been a lot of speculation out there, but I want to go back to Saturday because you were there and you've witnessed over the last couple of weeks. I know I'm just one man's opinion, but I think Alex Mortensen has done a tremendous job at UAB, and I would love to see that interim tag taken off for Mort.
No doubt about it. Just watching the way that Mort ran that football team the final 6 games of the season, and I get to see a whole lot behind the scenes. How those guys respond, how he works with staff, how he talks to players, how he plans, all of it, from the professionalism of what he wears to get on the bus. I mean, there's some obvious Nick Sabanisms in how he carries himself and models himself as a head coach, from travel to a lot of different things. Number one, he is a wonderful human being. He is just a great, great person, but he's also a really, really good football coach. And I think that UAB would certainly be proud. I think he's a guy that the fans could get behind. And I'll be the first to say I support Mort.
I like that.
How about that T-shirt?
That would be a good one. I mean, yeah, he's young, energetic, and offensive guy, right? That's the kind of thing that gets a fan base excited. So, yeah, that would be, I think, a good decision for UAB moving forward. And time for a new chapter there with the Blazers.
So we'll wait and see if UAB does take the interim tag off of Mortensen, because he has done a really nice job there at UAB. Have you guys exhaled now that maybe the whole Lane Kiffin stuff is possibly kind of in our rearview mirror now? Are we done with that?
Yeah, but I'm still marveling how he just burned it all down. Really am. I got to thinking about it. I was watching Home Alone. It was Home Alone 1. And you remember when the thieves, they go into the house and they rob the house, right? Mm-hmm. But what was the trademark in Home Alone 1? It was
they flood the basement.
He would flood the home. Yeah. That's what I feel like Lane Kiffin did. You already robbed Ole Miss of all of their joy. You're leaving. You're taking half the coaching staff, probably a lot of the roster when it's all said and done. But the way that he did it, yeah, he flooded the home.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting yesterday. If you heard his interview with Marty Smith on Sunday on the tarmac, I mean, his opening statement yesterday was essentially a rehash of what he said to Marty Smith on Sunday. So I'm not saying that's necessarily right or wrong. But I do find it interesting that he continues to bring it up, and it's very clear that it bothers him. But he continues to bring up, I respect their decision, but I just can't believe they're not letting me coach in the playoff. Like, my thing with Lane Kiffin in this whole scenario is, dude, just put your hand up and say, hey, I made the decision I wanted to make. It was a little messier than I thought. I could have handled it better. I think that would go a long way. But it's Lane Kiffin. He's a narcissist, and he's never going to be able to admit that maybe part of this whole issue was on him in the way that he handled it.
Pat, do you think, in your clinical opinion, do you think he's a narcissist, or would you?
Clinical opinion.
Yeah, let's put. Do you think, because he's obviously, he is, you want to call him a savant or just really good when it comes to offense and X's and O's and knowing the game, but socially it seems like he struggles, or maybe with, I don't know. I don't know how you would label that. Maybe we need a psychiatrist to call in.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go and try to give a best guesstimation, considering the fact I think I took 2 psychology
Like this stems from his
classes in
childhood, I'm
college.
guessing, right?
That's a maybe.
It wasn't hugged enough?
I don't think this is the best comparison I can make.
He apparently gets hugged enough around Oxford.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. He's now overcompensating for the lack of hugs that he received as a child.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's overcompensating for sure about something.
Yeah, he certainly is. But no, he reminds, and I know this is a comparison that will go over some people's heads. This is not somebody you ever want to be compared to. He is the college football version of Kanye West.
Oh, well, no.
You're
right.
That's exactly who he is. And I happen to love Kanye, and I enjoy Lane Kiffin and his entertainment value. But as a person, maybe less than admirable qualities in both of them. That's just the best comparison I can make off the top of my head.
I feel like there was so much buildup, though, Pat, and Conrad, for LSU fans. Now that it's happened, is it a little bit of a letdown? Now that he's there, and it's like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it was all this buzz for this.
Based on what you're seeing from Louisiana media, I mean, they're lapping this stuff up. Are you kidding me? They're just, oh, man.
They're about to win a national championship.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
he better.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
That's the expectation.
Yep.
It goes without saying getting to a college football playoff, but
And I would think that would also come with in the next 3 to 4 years, we would like to see that happen, or we will be having this whole carousel again.
So before we get to one of the kind of the bombshells, not a bombshell, but something that a lot of people nationally have been talking about is the people that he reached out to. I do want to go over a couple of things that was brought up in the press conference that may not have as much attention being paid to it as some of the stuff he said about Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. He said that he was nearly run off the road by Ole Miss fans and was jarred by what he saw and heard on his way to the airport to leave. He actually called a cop for assistance as going to the airport. This is the exact quote from Lane Kiffin. That affects you, that airport scene, all the things being said. They're saying that about you, and you think you've done a great job for 6 years. End of quote.
well, my advice would be leave in the middle of the night like you did in Knoxville, and you don't have to worry about that.
See, I think that statement right there, we don't need a clinical opinion. That is a narcissistic statement right there. 100%.
Or you can get fired at the tarmac like you did at USC, and you don't have to see anybody because it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Is this really the worst, though? Was this guy not pelted with golf balls in Neyland Stadium like 3 years ago?
Yeah, and mustard packets and bottles. And
like, he's seen this before.
But here's the one that really got me, and I don't even know if you guys saw this. So the LSU AD, who is a puppet for the governor, he gets up there, and he says the planes to pick up Lane Kiffin were rerouted mid-flight from Tupelo to Oxford. The AD said that he learned of this while on the flight, and he thought, this is a direct quote, they're going to shoot missiles at us, end of quote. So the AD at LSU believes that some Ole Miss guy is going to have a surface-to-air missile, and he's going to shoot the LSU plane down because Lane Kiffin is leaving for Baton Rouge.
Let's be honest.
I hate when my neighbor has an AA gun in his backyard.
I
It's
think
awful.
that's over the top to say RPG or missile.
That's ridiculous.
But I was thinking more 30-06 with a scope.
Maybe so.
That's probably how Ole Miss fans would prefer to roll.
That's a wild statement.
But hey,
That's a wild statement.
hey, I mean, I wouldn't think of it seriously, but that would be a thought that I would probably have as that announcement came over the cabin.
And once again, you're
Like,
talking.
oh, this is going to be fun.
You're talking about a guy
Yeah.
who literally is sitting there he just cannot believe that Ole Miss people or anybody is being critical. And it's just funny watching all the LSU lapdog media just line up like sheeps to slaughter, and they're doing everything and anything that Lane and the AD and everybody else is saying. It's
He couldn't even be
hilarious.
on time yesterday, Pat.
Well, I mean, he's all about the drama. He is all about the presentation and the production, and he got exactly what he needed. When we come back on Three Man Front, we're going to kind of dive into this Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, giving him advice. It's upset a lot of people in this state because Alabama is paying Nick Saban $500,000 to do what? I have no idea, but he's obviously consulting with the AD at LSU. He's on national television taking shots at an SEC institution, Ole Miss, that had a contract with Lane Kiffin. So we'll get into that. Mike Griffith is typically on during this time frame every Tuesday. He had some player interviews there over in Athens that he was conducting this morning. So we have kind of audibleized. He's going to be on the program on Friday, and we will preview the Georgia-Alabama game. So just a conflict of a couple things, but he will be on this show on Friday. We will continue on both from the studio and Social Taco and Homewood. This is Three Man Front.
Welcome back in. We are live from Social Taco here in the Terrace in Homewood. Landrum and Conrad, Pat anchoring things there from the studio of Jocks along with Molly Robinson. So glad that you are along with us. Doors open at 11 o'clock here at Social Taco. Join us in the Terrace for the Mix and Match Taco Tuesday. The Mexican pizzas, the burritos, and so much more. SocialTaco.bar for more information.
Well, you don't want to get caught in the cold, so schedule your system checkup now from a trained comfort specialist. Train has been recognized for 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jock. So go and visit train.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
You guys remember when the governor stood up there and talked about how poor Louisiana was and they couldn't afford to pay off Brian Kelly and agents are evil and we're going to have to do a new contract that's going to be, more incentive based. We can't pay all these buyouts and stuff like that. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hat in hand.
Yep. Just needed to have a GoFundMe for the Louisiana State Athletics Department because they couldn't pay anything. Well, for a brief moment, as of right now, LSU is paying Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, and Ed Orgeron. They're paying all three of those guys right now. Matter of fact, the final check for Ed Orgeron will be distributed on December 15th in the $426,000. That's the check that they will cut on December 15th. Think about that. So they're going to pay him $426,000 on December 15th. Meanwhile, Alabama pays Nick Saban and the LSU consulting firm that he runs $47,000 a month.
I just wonder, with three coaches that you're paying right now, who in payroll does that ever get mixed up, where Brian Kelly actually gets Coach O's monthly deposit?
This is a little less
in
than I
that
thought we
world. What
agreed
does that look
upon.
like? Like $400,000? What is this? This is a mistake.
Yeah, that must be nice.
Yeah.
I think that's when Brian Kelly goes, excuse me, you sent the wrong direct deposit here.
Yep, you're missing a zero.
I just like to think that's why Lane called Orgeron yesterday, because he said he called him when he was coming into to Baton Rouge, and I like to, hey, 2 weeks, Ed, we got your last paycheck. Come pick it up at the office. Love to see you.
Do you think that was just a story that Lane Kiffin came up with that he thought that he would tell, or do you think he actually?
No, that is 100% a Lane Kiffin thing to do.
Did he roll down the window and actually mess up that hair?
No, I don't believe that.
No, I don't either. There's no way.
But I do believe he called Ed Orgeron.
Oh, he absolutely called Coach out.
Well, one thing's for sure, Lane Kiffin, he definitely leaned on certain people to potentially give him an idea of what he should do, some advice. This was from yesterday. This is what Lane Kiffin had to say about former Alabama head football coach Nick Saban.
Coach Saban kind of coached at another place in this conference, so I can't really say exactly what he said, but I'll say I think the world of Coach Saban, and I respect him, and so there's a reason.
Well, one thing's for sure, I was listening to the Damian Mitchell show with special guest Conrad Van Order
you made it
early.
on.
Yeah, he was
job,
on there
buddy.
this morning.
Yeah.
And I almost spit out my Frosted Flakes because Conrad Van Order went on a tirade this morning.
Why does he do that?
I don't know, especially at breakfast time. And there's people driving to work, and he tries to upset people early in the morning. Would you like to continue on your diatribe from this morning, Conrad, on Nick Saban?
Tone it down. Tone it down. We're in public.
Oh, where to start? So the genesis of it is, so here we have, again, Lane Kiffin insinuating, he didn't say anything specifically, but he is insinuating that Nick Saban told him something along the lines of, you should take the LSU job. The LSU job is better than the Alabama job. Something along those lines, right? And look, I'm not going to be foolish. I'm not going to sit here and act like while Nick Saban was the sitting head coach at Alabama that he never had conversations with coaches about their futures or should they take this job or that job. But what is the university paying you $500,000 a year for? You're giving, not only are you giving consulting, to a former, or I guess an opposing rival head coach, they're now going to one of your biggest rivals in LSU, on top of the fact that Nick Saban was on public live television on Saturday backing up Lane Kiffin and his desire to coach in the college football playoff even after leaving Ole Miss, which Nick Saban himself had the opportunity to let Lane Kiffin do in 2016, and he didn't. He fired him before the national championship game, but now that he's not the one in charge, that would be okay.
That's a good point.
It's absolutely ridiculous, on top of the fact that he is, on one hand, lobbying, stay at Ole Miss or continue to coach at Ole Miss through the playoff, but then he's also telling Lane privately, hey, leave Ole Miss behind. There's a better job out there for you at LSU. I love Nick Saban. I appreciate what he did for the University of Alabama, but some people need to accept that he can do wrong, and it's okay to call a spade, even if it's Nick Saban.
I don't see how it's so hard to understand. Maybe it's cut and dry for some of these coaches, but because it's so transactional now with players in, players out. But you still got a fan base that has to be there, and they're still supporting their school, and they're still buying tickets, and they're going to go watch games with Pete Golding on the sideline. But what you just put our university through, our program through, we will never forget. There will not be another second where you're wearing a stitch of our clothing on our sideline representing our school. Don't blame Ole Miss. I don't see why that's so hard for some folks to figure out.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that it doesn't take much. I'm going to use a Kurt Signetti line about just Google it. Nick Saban is represented by Jimmy Sexton. Booger McFarland went to LSU, who was on television just going on and on how Lane Kiffin deserves the right to coach his team in the college football playoff. Guess who also represents him? CAA, who represents Kirk Herbstreit, who went on game day, said the exact same thing. CAA. So once again, you have conflicts of interest all over the place, and I'm glad that other people in the media kind of called them out yesterday. I mean, I'm like Conrad, the respect, greatest coach of all time. But for him to go on national television like Booger, like Herbstreit, it was an embarrassing. It was embarrassment. ESPN, they should absolutely come out and make a statement about this, because they have no business getting involved, especially when it's a member institution of the Southeastern Conference. I mean, if I was the Ole Miss chancellor, I'd be so pissed off.
Yep.
I'd be calling ESPN. I would be calling Greg Sankey. It's interesting. About a month ago, Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated, he asked Greg Sankey about SEC teams tampering, and was that a concern? Here's a direct quote. "I think we have many presidential openings," Sankey said. "Nobody reports about those, and nobody really talks about the timing of those being filled. I can control what I can control. I don't worry about things like that. That's not something that I control. I would anticipate the coaches that have dedicated the whole season to a team, recruited young people onto their team, would fulfill their obligation to their team, but we're going to have to see what happens," end of quote. In other words, just like the college football playoff, Greg Sankey and everybody else just kicks the can down the road. But if I'm Ole Miss, I'm furious, because you guys know good and well, if LSU had a coach that was deciding, hey, I'm going to go to Alabama or I'm going to go to Auburn, but you know what? LSU's about to play in the college football playoff. You think those same people down in Louisiana would be yelling and screaming about the fact that they should be able to coach their team in the college football playoff? No way. There's no way, shape, or form that they would let a coach leave LSU and go to Alabama or Auburn to coach, next year, but stay at LSU during the college football playoff. I mean, it's a double standard.
I can't see in the scenario and that being the justification that's given for some reason for Ole Miss to be left out of the playoff after everything that they've been put through. Then you're going to twist the knife. You're going to pour gasoline and salt in it, and then you're going to stomp on their grave. No way. There's no way that happens.
So I just go back to the whole situation. I understand. Look, again, it's not a surprise to anybody that Nick Saban loves LSU. He said many times that his biggest regret in his career was leaving LSU. I think we all understand that. But you are being paid $500,000 by another university. By the way, they named their field after you, and you are directly helping one of their biggest rivals and biggest competitors by helping Lane Kiffin push him through the door in Baton Rouge. That is unacceptable, in my opinion. And if you're an Alabama fan and you're not upset about that, I don't know what to say to you.
Well, you're really going to be upset when one of your marquee players goes down there and transfers in the portal.
Oh, and it's going to happen.
Oh, you better believe it.
It'll happen.
Do you not think right now that Lane Kiffin is not trying to pilfer Ryan Williams or name the quarterback that's in that
I'm sure
quarterback
Keelan
room right
Russell
now?
has had many a DM from Lane.
Or you not think Cam Coleman is being talked to by Lane Kiffin?
Yep.
I mean, this
All
guy.
of the above.
Yep. This guy is ready to pounce, and he cannot wait to get on social media and have fun in regards at everybody else's expenses. When we come back on Three Man Front, we'll let you hear what a couple of national people had to say about Lane Kiffin. I'm not talking about talking heads. I'm talking about guys that have been in the game and that have coached and played in football, what they had to say about Lane Kiffin's press conference yesterday. That's next on Three Man Front. It's the Tuesday edition of Three Man Front. Pat and Molly in studio, high atop Red Mountain. Social Taco is where you need to go for lunch, as Conrad Van Order and our own Landrum Roberts will be there until 2 o'clock as they are there anchoring things at Social Taco. The doors officially open up at 11 o'clock, but if you know Landrum and you know Conrad, they'll let you up in the Taco Terrace a little bit early and go hang out. Like they're doing now, Molly, and completely ignoring us.
Yeah, they're having a really good time.
Yeah, they're just completely ignoring the fact that we're supposed to be doing a radio show right now. But that's okay. They're talking to people and having a good time.
Oh, wait, here we go.
Okay, yeah, he's putting his headset back on. Okay, there we go. Okay. You guys ready to be part of the show again?
Yeah, we could do that. Sorry.
It's like, all right, Molly, let's me and you read the phone book for the next 20 minutes.
Starting the A's. Yeah, Conrad, they were already going. We were just having a conversation. Sorry, Christopher has joined us here. We hadn't seen him in a while. We were catching up.
Okay. Well, good deal. All right. So, nationally speaking, this has kind of gone over like a lead balloon in regards to Lane Kiffin. Bill Cowher, who played at NC State, the Super Bowl winning coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, also a member of the CBS NFL crew. He was on the Dan Patrick Show yesterday. Take a listen.
If you were the Ole Miss athletic director and Lane Kiffin said to you, hey, I want to coach this team in the playoffs, you would have said,
you decided to go to LSU. Thank you and goodbye. What, to let you come here for the next month and talk about how great LSU is over Mississippi? You kidding me? Seriously? To even ask for that question is like, that's arrogance. I think what happened there is a disgrace to the coaching profession, because I will just say this. The coaching profession is about developing young men. It's not about chasing the greener grass to somewhere else. It'd be an ambulance chaser and go, oh, I can fix you. And then when you fix that, let me go here and fix that. It's about developing young men. It's about trying to create tradition, pageantry for the institution that you work for. We had rivalry weekend we just came off of. What's a rivalry anymore? What's a conference anymore? I'm telling you, we're losing some of the very core fiber of things that we have grown up loving about college football, and we're watching it deteriorate right before our eyes.
Bill
That's one of my favorite coaches of all time. I really, really, really was hoping after he retired from the NFL, Pat, that Bill Cowher would be a college coach somewhere so we could watch it.
Yeah, he's outstanding. He is a hard-nosed football coach, and so many people applauded his answer yesterday on the Dan Patrick Show. Joey McGuire, he is the head football coach of Texas Tech, and he grew up in the high school ranks. Matter of fact, before he went to Texas Tech just a couple years ago, he was one of the coaches at the Under Armour All-Star Game with Josh Floyd from Hewitt-Trussville High School down in Orlando. He's come up through the high school ranks in Texas, very well respected. Now he's got a Texas Tech team that's on the verge of potentially winning the Big 12 and going to the college football playoff. He's got an interesting proposal in regards to trying to make sure this stuff with Lane Kiffin doesn't happen again.
Hey, if you're going to leave your team that's in the playoffs, maybe your team that you're going to is not eligible for the playoffs the next year. Maybe that changes some of the things. Or, hey, you're going to leave your team for the playoffs. Nobody from your past team or your team that you're coaching at can go to the team that you're going to. You know, that they're not eligible. They can get in the transfer portal, but they've got to go somewhere else. They can't follow you. Until there's some penalties in that, we're going to get the same thing over and over.
That is Joey McGuire.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Another idea, another potential solution to one of 1,000 problems that we have right now in this era.
I think it sounds nice, but in reality, I don't think you would ever get people to be on board with that.
Oh, no.
But it sounds nice.
No, it does. But like you said, nobody is going to okay that. One more cut to give you kind of a sampling of what people were talking about. Many folks wondered, why was it taking so long on Saturday? Poor Marty Smith. He was hanging out there at the Ole Miss football facility for about a day and a half because the athletics director said that Lane Kiffin was going to tell us on Saturday what his answer was. Well, the day kept going on and on and on, and all of a sudden there was a lot of speculation out there that just maybe Lane Kiffin was waiting on the Iron Bowl results. Why? Because there was some around the coaching fraternity said that he wanted the potential Alabama job if Kalen DeBoer decided to leave Alabama after a loss to Auburn. Take a listen to Todd McShay, formerly of ESPN. He was on the Ringer podcast. Take a listen to what he says about Lane Kiffin and the timing.
Same people were telling me, you watch, it will not be announced, it will not be official till after that Alabama game.
Right.
Because of that, because the job he wants more than any other job. Watch the hand motions, and I've known Lane for over 20 years. I'm buds with Lane, we communicate. But if you just watch, as much as he butted heads with Nick at Alabama, he and Saban have a bond and a mutual respect for one another, even though they drove each other crazy. That was the job he wanted. And so there was still this 1% in him, and no one will ever admit it, and especially him. But I truly believe there was a small percentage of Lane that was like, yep, I'm going to LSU, it's done. But what happens if Auburn beats Alabama? Because that thing could fall apart in a hurry with Kalen DeBoer.
That was Todd McShay. His thoughts on the timing.
Oh, that's not a surprise. I think we've always known that that's been the job that he coveted at the end of the day. And I mean, look, to be fair, we've all come on here and said we don't think that Kalen DeBoer is going anywhere. But obviously it's a story that's had legs and the smoke continues to be there. So not a surprise that Lane Kiffin would want to wait it out on that, because I think we all agree he would take that job over the LSU job. But yeah, that's not a huge shock to me.
No, that's the job he wants. That's the job that I find it hard to believe that he ever gets. Do we think that LSU is the last job in the SEC for Lane Kiffin?
Ooh, in the SEC. No.
Somebody makes another run.
Texas in 5 years. I don't know.
I mean, Florida again.
Florida, yeah. Who knows? Maybe things go poorly at LSU, and he's taking an Arkansas job in 10 years. But I don't know.
There's only a couple of options though, that you could see Lane taking or them offering the kind of money that Lane would demand.
Correct.
LSU.
I don't think he'll be the head coach at Alabama ever. I don't think he'll ever be at Georgia. But Texas, I could see that. Texas A&M, I could see that. Maybe one day. Never say never with Lane.
And maybe we're talking about a championship or an actual playoff game that he's coached in at that time.
Maybe so. Would it not be the most fitting thing ever? I'm sure he will have a ton of success at LSU, and I'm sure he will at some point make a college football playoff. Maybe multiple.
Are you sure?
Does it not? Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Does this not seem like one of those weird curse scenarios where he would never make a college football playoff at LSU?
Yep.
He would just, the way that he handled this, the karma would be too much for him to ever overcome.
I can see it happening.
That's just like a weird theory, but.
How many seasons are they going to let Lane Kiffin get into before you get the middle of the night? Oh, my gosh. We got to make a move.
3.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
They want results quickly.
Well, the good news is, see, if you're LSU, though, do you go back and, like, instead of $91 million, you make it, like, $40 million? Because he said yesterday he doesn't even know what the contract is. So do you just go back and maybe lower it a little bit and hope he just gets his paycheck? Because he doesn't care about the money.
If I'm Verge, I just have the conversation now that he's there and the ink's dry. Look, here's the expectation. You know the expectation, but it's we need a natty in the next 3 years.
Yep. And that's the expectation. And it should, to be fair, at LSU it should be.
We need college football playoffs every year, but we need a national championship in the next 3 years.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. We have the college football playoff rankings that will be out. It will be the final rankings before the final rankings on Sunday. And we'll see where Ole Miss is. Is Ole Miss going to be in front of Texas A&M now, or is Texas A&M going to be right behind Ole Miss? I do not anticipate them falling off the face of the earth in regards to the fact that Lane Kiffin's not there. It ultimately might ding them up once they get the field set in regards to who they want in the college football playoff, the total field. We'll just have to wait and see. I think everyone believes that obviously it's going to be probably Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Bama, and then BYU at 8, 9, 10, and 11. And so if Alabama maintains that spot at number 10, here comes the whole conversation that you're going to have in regards to what's going to happen if Alabama loses the SEC championship game and find themselves with 3 losses. And at BYU, if they lose to Texas Tech, will only have 2. That will be the comparison. The 2 losses to BYU, they'll be to Texas Tech. Meanwhile, Alabama will have 3, 2 against two top 15 teams, 2 top 10 teams in Georgia and Oklahoma. But then once again, Conrad, that loss to Florida State is going to continue to be a conversation point in that room.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I will say this. If BYU loses the Big 12 championship, I think there is I know that statistically they would have a percent to get in. I think there's a 0% chance they get in. I think they have to win the Big 12 championship to get in. And on top of that, right, I think that's where you start to feel better if you're an Alabama fan, is if you are ahead of them going into the conference championship games and you both lose, how in the world could you potentially move a BYU over an Alabama if they were already slotted ahead of them going into the extra 13th game?
And another potential just thing to look at, you got Kalani Sitake, at least his representation in heavy talks with Penn State right now.
Yep.
And a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. Something that I always factor in when I'm looking at a game.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair. I will say this, and this is going off of what Las Vegas was telling you if you were looking yesterday at college football playoff odds. Personally, I do think they will move Alabama up one spot tonight. I don't know if y'all agree with that, but there is a lot of buzz when you look at, I mean, you're minus 3,000 to make the college football playoff if you're Alabama.
I don't see the scenario where it's a team that you beat in their stadium earlier in the season. You lose a close game, neutral site in Atlanta, one of the top teams in the country, and you get dinged for it. I'm not playing the game.
I agree. But we'll see.
I will drive to Grapevine, Texas, if that's the reasoning that they give for putting in BYU or whoever it is over Alabama, a 3-loss Alabama.
Well, we will find out later tonight in regards to where Alabama stands in the next to last college football playoff rankings. Water is a home's worst enemy, and it doesn't need an invitation. It finds its way into crawl spaces. It brings about mold, pests, and wood rot. But Alabama Professional Services, or APS, they have the solution. It's their crawl space encapsulation system. It seals out moisture, blocks the pests, and can even help reduce your energy bills. This isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The engineers at APS, they're going to design a custom system specifically for your home. Don't let crawl space problems get worse. You need to call APS today, 205-951-9717, or visit alabamaprofessional.com. That's 205-951-9717. Been around since 1977, solving all of these massive problems that we have as homeowners. Call APS again today, 205-951-9717, or visit their website, alabamaprofessional.com. More three-man front on this Taco Tuesday live from Social Taco on Jocks.
Welcome back in. We're live from the Taco Terrace, Social Taco in the square in Homewood, right next to City Hall. We got Don, Stan, Christopher, Howie, early attendees as we get cranked up here in just a few minutes. SocialTaco.bar. Check out the great menu, the mix and match tacos that you can find here. And don't forget about happy hour, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, out on the patio when the weather's nice or here when it's cozy inside. We appreciate Dave and all of our friends at Social Taco. Also appreciate our friends at Mandu Holidays. They're here, and you want to feel and look your best. You can do it with Mandu Electrical Muscle Stimulation Fitness. Get into Homewood or maybe our friends up in Huntsville in that area. You got a studio now, and check it out. Your first visit's free. They'll put you through the workout. The great thing, it's all FDA approved. It's a 15-minute workout, and you can tailor-make it whatever you're trying to work on. But that 15 minutes is equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Check it out for the holidays. A great gift idea for yourself, maybe the entire family or a loved one. MANDUU.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jocks sent you.
Well, you know, Kentucky was not playing around. So they announced yesterday morning that Mark Stoops, the longest tenured coach in the Southeastern Conference, was no longer needed services there at the University of Kentucky. He was out. 14 hours after they made the official announcement that Stoops was out, they announced their new head coach is Will Stein, the offensive coordinator at Oregon. So you want to talk about a 3-person committee getting busy, getting it done. That's exactly what they did at Kentucky. I think this is a great hire, Will Stein. He grew up in Louisville. He grew up a Kentucky Wildcats fan, but then he played at Louisville, and then he made his way down into the state of Texas. He was in the high school ranks, and then he was the OC at UTSA. Then he's been at Oregon for the last few years. So, guys, I think this is a great hire for Kentucky. He's the youngest FBS head coach at 36 years old.
Well, this is if you're going to make the move like on a Stoops, a guy that's been there, 13 seasons, and it's a whole lot of money, you better have a plan. You better not decide, all right, we got the money paid off. We have no idea who we're going to get if you're going to replace him. This was an idea of, yep, we've got our guy. We have target of our guy. We have a plan. We're going to enact the plan because we don't have long to move. I think that this is a great hire. And getting a guy that has been exposed to different coaching staffs and especially spending time with Dan Lanning, because I do respect Dan Lanning and the way that he runs that Oregon program and taking a lot of those SEC values. But, yeah, I think this is a win for Kentucky fans.
Yeah, and one of the, obviously struggles that a lot of teams have, but especially Kentucky, is, they keep going in the portal and getting these quarterbacks out, and it hasn't worked for them. And now you bring in a guy pretty good the last 3 years, Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, and Dante Moore. So, again, he knows how to work his way around quarterbacks. We'll see if he can do that with Cutter Boley or bring in some talent there. But, yeah, I like it for Kentucky. Go young, and hopefully it works out well for him.
So everyone is still waiting on the fact that it has been a long time since James Franklin was fired at Penn State. What are they going to do about their head coaching position? Well, it appears that Kalani Sitake is the person that of interest for Penn State. But something funny happened last night. Apparently the CEO of Crumble Cookies, he is now getting involved, and he is trying to throw his $1 million around, and he is trying to keep Sitake as the head coach. Now, I'm a big Crumble Cookie fan. I mean, we've got one in Trustful.
They're pretty good.
They do a fantastic job. And
that's a stocking stuffer that I give every year. Not the actual cookie, but the gift card.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting.
Good
I
call.
did not know that the CEO was
you learn.
Is he a BYU alum?
I think they're based out of Utah as well.
Okay. All right. And then I just saw moments ago that they have started a GoFundMe account to pay the assistant coaches to try to keep Sitake's assistant coaches there at BYU. So I'm not lying. A GoFundMe.
A GoFundMe to keep their staff.
Yes.
Ooh,
BYU's got plenty of money.
I would think.
Weren't they the first to give truck deals
to
all of their players?
That was Utah.
Oh, it was?
They had some sort of – I'm trying to remember what they had. They had some sort of NIL deal, though. I remember that.
Yep, it's I'm just reading it. It says, let's show some love and support for our leaders who grind behind the scenes every day. Support BYU assistant coaches. Show your gratitude. This is a direct GoFundMe. They have a $35,000 goal to donate now.
What?
Well,
what?
35,000?
Is that going to keep
is that all you're lacking?
That's going to keep a GA there?
What? Who are we trying? Yeah. We're trying to buy road uniforms?
Well, that was my question. I was like, okay, is it $2 million goal, $1 million goal, $35,000? You're not getting anything.
Well, but and this begs the question: Penn State. I think that this would be a really good hire for Penn State. Seems like that it would work. But if you don't get Kalani Sitake from BYU, what's the next swing? Who else is there? Because it seems like all the other guys that were on your list have new gigs, or they're staying put with new contracts.
And I know all coaches are liars, but Josh Heupel came out yesterday and said that he's not interested in that job whatsoever. So, I mean, again, coaches do lie on that stuff. I am curious, Pat. So, of the $35,000, how much have they raised? Does it show you?
I'll have to try to find the link. I just sent y'all the graphic.
Yeah, I saw that. I just didn't know if it. I would hope that they would have been able to raise that pretty quickly, but
never know.
You never know.
I don't know.
That's a first, though. A
GoFundMe
to retain a coaching
went to
staff.
school, but do you just make a phone call to like Mitt Romney?
Well, that's $35,000 for him. Like that's nothing, probably.
Maybe it's
Wasn't it his grandson that went to school there?
Yeah,
he was a quarterback, right?
Yeah. I call Mitt.
So
Good luck to them.
Tomorrow is National Signing Day, and we've just had one of our major flipping from one commitment going to someone else. And this is kind of like, the 10 years ago, Pat Smith would be like absolutely floored over. I'm not by this announcement. But the number one quarterback,
yeah, buddy,
Jared Curtis, has flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt.
There we go.
Clark Lee. Life after Diego Pavia.
Conrad loves this bad news for Georgia, as Kirby will be devastated.
It's a bad
going into
omen
the
for
SEC
Dog fans
championship
this
game.
weekend. It's the first of many losses this week.